Moscow, 1547. A young boy, barely a teenager, stands on the precipice of destiny. He is Ivan IV, the newly crowned Tsar of all Russia. At the tender age of 3, he inherited the throne. His childhood was a whirlwind of courtly intrigue and simmering violence. Powerful nobles, the boyars, vied for control, casting a long shadow over his early years. Now, at the age of 14, Ivan is ready to claim his birthright, but the weight of the crown rests heavily upon his young head. Little does he know a reign of both unparalleled glory and unspeakable terror awaits. The young Tsar's eyes, wide with a mixture of fear and determination, scan the assembled crowd. He sees the glittering jewels and rich fabrics of the boyars, their faces etched with a lifetime of ambition and ruthlessness. He remembers the whispers, the plots, the ever-present threat of violence that hung over his childhood. Today, he vows, will be different. Today, he will become the master of his own fate. The Archbishop of Moscow, resplendent in gold and white robes, places the heavy crown upon Ivan's head. The weight of it is startling, a physical reminder of the burden he now carries. As the Archbishop chants the ancient prayers, Ivan feels a surge of power course through him. He is Tsar, the anointed of God, the ruler of a vast and untamed land. Yet Ivan cannot shake the feeling that he is not merely inheriting a throne, but stepping into a cage. A cage of his own making, perhaps, but a cage nonetheless. The boy Tsar, hardened by years of fear and suspicion, is about to unleash a storm that will forever alter the course of Russian history. Ivan's early years were a brutal apprenticeship in the art of power. Orphaned at the age of 8, he became a pawn in the ruthless games played by the boyar families. He witnessed firsthand their greed, their treachery, and their utter disregard for human life. The boyars, sensing weakness in the young Tsar, subjected him to humiliation and fear. They controlled his every move, confining him to the Kremlin like a gilded prisoner. These early experiences left an indelible mark on Ivan's psyche. He grew up surrounded by violence, both real and threatened. He learned that power was the only currency that mattered in the court, and that mercy was a sign of weakness. To survive, Ivan became a master of manipulation. He played the boyars against each other, exploiting their rivalries to his advantage. He learned to mask his true emotions, concealing his fear and anger behind a facade of cold indifference. And as he grew older, the fear that had once consumed him began to morph into something darker, a thirst for vengeance. Stories of Ivan's cruelty during his teenage years abound. He took pleasure in torturing animals, delighting in their cries of pain. He thought nothing of striking a servant for a perceived slight. Some historians argue that these acts were a manifestation of the trauma he had endured, a way of reclaiming a sense of control in a world that had always seemed determined to control him. Whatever the reason, these acts of cruelty foreshadowed the horrors that were to come. At the age of 17, a profound change swept over Ivan. Some attribute it to a near-death experience during a devastating fire that ravaged Moscow. Others point to the influence of his beloved first wife, Anastasia Romanovna, whom he married in 1547. She was known for her piety and gentle nature and seemed to awaken a sense of compassion in her young husband. Whatever the cause, Ivan's reign took a dramatic turn. He embarked on an ambitious program of reform, determined to drag Russia into the modern world. He centralized the government, weakening the power of the boyars and establishing a more efficient bureaucracy. He introduced a new legal code, the Sudebnik of 1550, which aimed to create a fairer and more just society. Ivan also recognized the importance of education and culture. He commissioned the construction of St. Basil's Cathedral, a masterpiece of Russian architecture that still stands today as a testament to his vision. He invited foreign scholars and artisans to Moscow, eager to expose Russia to new ideas and technologies. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed as if Russia had entered a new golden age. Ivan IV was not content to be simply a reformer. He yearned for military glory, for the chance to expand Russia's borders and cement his legacy as a conqueror. In 1552, he launched a daring campaign against the Khanate of Kazan, a powerful Tatar state that had long threatened Russia's eastern frontier. The siege of Kazan was long and bloody, but Ivan's determination never wavered. He personally led his troops into battle, inspiring them with his courage and ferocity. Finally, after weeks of fighting, the city fell to the Russians. The victory was a turning point in Russian history, marking the end of the Tatar yoke and the beginning of Russia's emergence as a major Eurasian power. Flush with victory, Ivan turned his attention to the Baltic Sea. He dreamed of securing a warm water port for Russia, a gateway to trade and influence in the West. But his ambitions brought him into conflict with the powerful Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and a long and grueling war ensued. Despite some early successes, Ivan's Baltic campaign ultimately ended in failure. Ivan's beloved wife, Anastasia, fell ill and passed away in 1560. Her death marked the beginning of a dark and turbulent period for Ivan. Overwhelmed by grief and suspicion, he began to see enemies everywhere. The once brilliant and strategic ruler started to descend into paranoia and cruelty. It was a turning point, leading to actions that would forever stain his legacy. With an iron fist, Ivan ruled over his people, instilling fear and demanding absolute loyalty. This personal tragedy fueled his paranoia and drove him to further acts of cruelty. His reign was now marked by brutal crackdowns on dissent and the ruthless suppression of any who dared to oppose him. He earned the name Terrible, but in the Russian it also has the meaning of awe-inspiring. In his final years, Ivan was haunted by the ghosts of his past. Seeking redemption, he turned to religion, hoping to atone for his sins. Yet, the shadows of his deeds loomed large, and peace eluded him until his dying breath. Ivan IV's legacy is a complex tapestry of terror and triumph. His reign left an indelible mark on Russia, shaping its future in ways both profound and terrifying. His name, forever etched in history, serves as a reminder of the thin line between power and tyranny. Thank you for watching. If you found this video beneficial, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Traumatistoria to continue learning from the annals of history.